Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Good Book Life. And the subject of our conversation this week is Tsundoku, which is a Japanese word meaning a little bit like a tsunami, but books. You have too many books, or do you? You're being swamped by books, and I'm joined by my guests, who are all fantastic authors, and I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves. I'm going to start with CJ Hooper, who I know from comedy as well. CJ, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you very much. Yes, as Donna knows me through comedy, I perform as part of the extraordinary time-travelling companions of Baron Munchausen. We are part of that troupe. I'm also performing up at Edinburgh again this year with my improvised comedy poetry show, which is all about alternative histories. So if you look up improv poets on the Edinburgh Guides, you should find me. But I also write weird fiction. So, oh, look what I happen to have to hand. Here's my little book of short stories and things. Just a little bit of weird fiction. Hopefully my first full novel coming out in the end of September, which is the most optimistic version of that I can give. So I've got lots of short stories in amongst sort of various anthologies, and I've finally had the patience and discipline to commit to actually writing a novel. I've even managed the sequel in its first draft as well now. So those two things of patience and discipline, I think, may actually come into this conversation about buying too many books and impulse buying and the such like. So yes, thank you for having me.
Okay, welcome. You're welcome. And Shona, I've known for a while. Hello, could you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, sure. So my name is Shona Kinsella. I am an author of fantasy, horror, and non-fiction about Scottish history. What else I do? I'm a freelance editor. I am the chair of the British Fantasy Society, which takes up an inordinate amount of my time and is wonderful. So if you're not a member, join.
Yes, join us.
I'll do it now.
And finally, Sean.
Hello, yes, I'm Sian O Hara. I'm a prolific reader and have been from as long as I can remember. I also write, so I write short and flash fiction across the speculative genres. And I am the deputy chair of the British Fantasy Society, so we'll echo Una's call there to highly recommend joining us if you're interested in that kind of thing.
Yes, and absolutely. The British Fantasy Society is a great society to join if you are a keen bibliophile fan of fantasy genre in particular, but also they cover science fiction and horror and anything just generally speculative or edgy or weird. So anything that covers those. So one of the questions I had for you guys is about fantasy. So I think all of us are kind of involved with fantasy as a genre. Do we think there's something about fantasy as a genre that kind of lends itself to having too many books because of its vastness, because there are so many books? If you can't buy one book, you have to buy a trilogy, or what did Hitchhikers have, a trilogy in 5, 6 parts? I'm not sure. But yeah, they carry on. How many Robin Hobbs books have there been? And all a part of the same world? I don't know. Shona, what do you think?
Yes. So yes, I think there is so many of fantasy writers are producing series, maybe a bit less so nowadays. I think publishers are a bit more predisposed towards standalones at the moment, but series are really common in fantasy, and if you buy one, you have to buy them all, right?
Absolutely. CJ, do you have to buy them all? Like Pokemon?
I tend to, yes. It's I don't like ever DNFing a book, as it were. So I'll always get through to the end, and if the first one grabs me, I won't just buy the second one. I will end up buying the lot. So it's one or everything, I think.
Yes, all or nothing. I'm sure it's a song. And stop, get out of my head lyrics. Sean.
Yeah, no, I think I definitely like to binge read as a goal. Let's I'll start a series and think this was so great, and it's just, you then get the book 2 and then you carry on, and then you either finish the series or you catch up to where the author's got to with it, and then you're on to the next one. And I think the thing with fantasy is that is like an umbrella term. It covers so many different subgenres. There's such a wide variety that absolutely means you need to buy lots and lots of books, because there's so much difference out there to be enjoyed.
Indeed, indeed. I noticed that Shona, you're in front of a bookshelf, and CJ, you're in front of a bookshelf. I have got some of my bookshelves here. And indeed, this weird teetering pile, that's on a shelf. I ran out of shelf. There's a few of those. And Sean, you were outside because you're sensible, and it's really, really hot.
It's too hot to sit next to my books.
Yeah, they exude a warmth, don't they? A woody, palpable warmth, because they are creatures. They are living, as it were.
What wasn't it Pratchett who did the knowledge equals power, power equals MC squared? Therefore, there's an inordinate amount of energy given off just by books alone. And
Well, yeah, and that's actually true. If not just a matter of physics. But of course, also they're wood. Well, mainly wood, some things. What I want to know is, are you an organized curator of books, or, like me, a bit of a disorganized accumulator? Okay, I'm going to ask you, Sean, because you can lie, because we can't see.
Yeah, I am so organized. Everything is meticulously in the right place. No, I would love to be that organized, but in reality, there's maybe like one shelf that I curate. It's got all my pretty leather-bound editions of things and so on, and the rest of it, kind of, just wherever they fit in different layers, and and I'll come back from a con and I've got a stack of books with me, and I'm like, oh, where do I put these? There's no room. I need to sort that shelf. I'll put them down over here and move them later, and like 4 cons later and more piles of books have joined them, and that's now their home. So it's quite haphazard, and I have stacks of books dotted all over the house.
I've done that before. I've come back from one convention, and then I've come to the office, and then as I've been sort of like moving things around, I discover a whole bag of books that I have not shot.
Yeah.
Well, these are from the last one. And I'm thinking, whoops. And I promised the writers I would read them very soon. But of course, the newer, shinier thing sort of creeps closer to the pile because, they're within reach. Oh, it has just started raining. And I knew it was going to rain because my head has been killing. But yeah, that is coming down some just now. So I think that's probably now loud enough for you to hear. Okay, CJ, how about you? What are your bookshelves look very organised?
now that there is an illusion there. Yeah. No, that said, I'm not an organised book collector. There's a to be read next to the bed over there. There's a to be read next to my favourite chair, which was my great aunt's old armchair just behind me. And on the bookshelf, I thought there was no pattern to it, but there is. Now the books are double stacked, so top shelf I've got Colin Dexter, Mervyn Peake, Tolkien. Of course, I've got Tolkien, and then sort of classic poets as well as Blake and various other people there. The next shelf down is my Arkham House first editions collection, which is nothing compared to some friends of mine who, one particular mate, guy who runs Brown Jenkin Books, nearly had the entire run of Arkham House first editions. Some of them even signed by dead people. And then it gets chaotic.
What?
Like before they were dead, presumably.
Good hope. And then it gets more chaotic as you go further down. Now this is a bit like when I got my first ever flat. I had 3 sets of bookcases. As you walked into the living room, you saw all the books I wanted people to think I read. Round the corner in the living room were the books that I occasionally read. And in the bedroom that nobody saw was my bookshelves full of graphic novels and comics and the stuff that I would actually read. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I must say, I'm not sure where I put The Lost Girls, Alan Moore and Mel Gebby, but that's probably not one I should leave lying around.
My Alan Moores are down in my living room for people to see when they come in.
Yeah. Most of mine are, but yeah,
He-
of course, I've got Jerusalem over there because I was like, that's in my personal shelf because I worked on that one. So yeah.
I've got a stack of them in my living room, which I'm hoping to pass on to friendly contacts who might ask the Great Wizard to sign them for me. But I've got to mention this though. There was something that disturbed me actually, and it does involve a member of my family, who is a lovely and wonderful person. But they organise their books by the colours of the spine,
I used to.
and then it got better.
Yeah. Well, and then I got the second way I used to organise them was by publisher because she says this as a publisher, but generally publishers will tend to produce their books uniformly, not like some new presses that have two different sizes of books going on. Who's that I'm talking about? I have no idea.
Well, you can't see from there, but my slab press books are on the third shelf down. So, solidarity.
In size order. Okay, Shona, I'm looking, I'm judging. I can see a mix.
Right, so what you can see behind me, that's my non-fiction to be read, right?
Yes.
And then behind that's fiction, non-fiction that I have read.
Well, that's
And
good.
that's all.
Christ.
That's all like writing and research related. So it's in my office, this little cupboard. Things that I have not read yet are on a giant pile, or 3 piles, beside my bed, because when you put it all together, it's taller than me. Those are the books that I have not yet read, and they are decided structurally based on what's going to stop that tower falling over and killing me in my sleep. And then my bookcases in the living room, we've got 3 massive bookcases that are all alphabetical order, and then within an author, it's all chronological order, except where that interferes with the series. And then, so the series are grouped together. It has there's a system.
But glad to see there's a system somewhere. Somebody has a system. I used to have a system. My system died. My system died because it got overwhelmed. I think pretty much. I think the only really organisation I've got is I think most of my BFS Horizons are kind of like in the same place. And there's a couple that are over here, but they're mostly over there. And then I've got my own new compressed books behind me as well. So they're all in a row. But when the next one comes out, that's next year's, I'm going to have to find another shelf because I've run out of space.
Yeah, I have to ask you all, do you ever do or enjoy the rebooting or the rebooking of your bookshelves where you take everything down and then reorganise?
That's a good question, CJ. For me, that's a big no because this is a lot of work. And I think I've got other priorities to sort out first, maybe. My actual life. Yeah, Shona?
So I've had the same system forever. So when I read a book, if it's earned its place on the bookcase, it gets put straight in the right place. And if it hasn't, then I pass it on to, charity shop or someone else who might enjoy it. And it gets moved out of my house because I have a limited amount of space to fill with books, sadly, until my children leave.
I suspect this is where the top 2 shelves of my bookcase are ordered, where I've started doing that, and then I've clearly got fed up because there's too many books, and the rest just go up in the old house.
Yeah, I think I like the idea of that, and I know I would enjoy part of the process of doing the organising, but yeah, then the ADHD brain would kick in and go, no, we're bored of this activity now, we need to go do something else, and it would just end up in a bigger mess. So the books are kind of, they're double depth on the shelves in our living room, and they've been there since we had the shelves built, which was 10 years ago. And occasionally I'll read stuff off there and move them, but I haven't taken everything off and tried to reorganize it. I'm not sure I have enough room to put all the books while I was doing the organizing.
It's another reason not to move house.
I was to say, I went to a wedding, people we know recently, and they had a quiz question about their book collection. And the quiz question, maybe I should say who they are. Selena Locke and Jay Eales, they're great writers. I love their stuff. And they said how many books have they got in their collection? If you stack them up, would they be as tall as A, the Eiffel Tower, B, the Empire State Building, C, the Burj Khalifa, or D, all the way to the moon? And I'm sure you can guess what I guess. But I thought about how many books I might have, and I thought, oh yeah, Eiffel Tower. That sounds about right. Eiffel Tower. No. Burj Khalifa. So, like, if they ask that quiz question of you guys in the future, it's like they have the 10,000 books. And I'm like, in that case, it would be like Russell Howard to me. You'd have to have your furniture made out of the books as well. You sort of like to sit on them. This is a very sturdy sofa. Yes, it's made of books. Like Princess and the Pea, like on top of all their books as well. So like, well, I can feel the bookmark in this one. Like, they're feeling delicate. Yeah. So. I often see booktubers and look at their little TBR trolleys that they've bought, these bookfluencers trolleys, and I'm thinking that's a cute idea. You've got a little trolley for your to be read books, and I just thinking, no, that's just a little bit of clutter that I don't need because I need to read all these. Do any of you have trolleys? Like a little library trolley?
No,
that's a no.
I'm just trying to picture how big it would need to be to try and hold all of my TBRs.
I think I need a whole bookcase for my TBR.
Like a trailer.
Yeah.
When I used to
get a mobile library.
When I used to commute, I had to make sure that my I'd ruin the pockets of my suit jacket because it had to be big enough to fit a book in. And I did tear out some of the pages of a certain book just so it would fit properly. I didn't tear out the story. I just took out the sort of the forward by somebody and then the extra pages at the back, and Moby Dick is a lot less daunting when you've taken out about 50 pages that you didn't need.
And then at the end he had to chasing the whale. The last thing he needed to do was
stone me.
But oh gosh, yeah. So we have a lot of books. How much do you think Tsundoku is part of your personal identity, CJ?
I think it's symptomatic of a larger issue.
What's that issue? Can we do therapy on you right now?
I think it's an inbuilt desire to part with my money on a random impulse buying sort of basis. I have a slight problem in that I don't like not finishing a book. It's only maybe 2, maybe 3 occasions where I've done that, and I won't name them because one of them may be very unpopular. Yeah, so that I will see books that I know I want to read and should read, and I make a point of, having was it the 100 books you must read before you die, which is
it's ominous.
Which is why I should never read them, because then I'm immortal, right?
Surely that's all books, no matter what the number. You read them before you die.
Yeah, I know. I think it's
read them before you get your next cold. It's a bit less ominous, but
I think overbuying books is just symptomatic of a larger issue, probably undiagnosed. I'm willing to take diagnoses now over this medium if you're welcome, if you're happy to do so. But yeah.
Okay, yeah, I actually think it's genetic for me because I've had my DNA done, 23andMe. So all of my data's on the dark web now. But I had more Neanderthal genes than 21% of the population, which is not a lot of Neanderthal for Homo sapiens of the Northern Europe. It's not an awful lot. But one of the genes, I've got two distinct markers to do with an unwillingness to discard rarely used objects. Basically, I have a hoarding gene. I have two hoarding genes, bits in my markers in my DNA from the Neanderthals. How do they know this? It was like, well, I've got a feeling, when they've done those excavations of caves and Neanderthal caves, and they found a bunch of old animal bone, and they think, oh, I've learned so much about Neanderthals. They are hoarders. It's like the way the Homo sapiens just aren't. They're like, they weren't going to use this bone again, but they thought they'd keep it.
I'd say, yeah, you may well have something there. My dad was a massive sort of book collector and hoarder, and it's I get a lot of my strangeness from him. He was into mythology and ancient history as well, and we had his first edition Lord of the Rings and Hobbits from when they first came out, and his complete collection of Panther Lovecraft books on the shelf as well. It was no surprise that I ended up the way that I did. So,
yeah, Sean, do you think it's part of your personality? Do you think to collect a lot of books? Do you think it's part of your personal identity?
Yeah, I think so. I've not actually heard the term until you mentioned it. As soon as I read it, I was just like, oh, that's the word for it, is it? That's great. But yeah, no, I've always said for a long time that the act of buying a book is separate from reading a book. So I buy books because, for loads of different reasons, wanting to support an author, or because I've read other stuff and this seems similar, or it just looks nice, or something else makes me reach out my hand in a bookshop or in a dealer's room at a convention or something, and I'm like, oh yes, I definitely want to buy this. And then whether or not I actually get around to reading it, it's like that's a separate thing. That shouldn't influence my choices to whether or not to buy something. So I've always had that separation in there, which is why I have so many books that I will probably, I'd say I'm optimistic I might read them all, but realistically, yeah, there's a few that are just gonna sit on the shelf and look pretty and gather dust.
Oh, I'm going to read all of them. I'm determined. Even this one.
I was just thinking.
He's going to read that one. Have you seen this? It's got 3.6 on Goodreads. That's not bad. But look at that cover. Just look at it.
Actually, I remember posing for that, actually. Can you imagine any greater hell, though, than having run out of things to read, though?
Yeah, exactly.
I used to be one of those people, before there was, sort of digital books and things, that half of my luggage for holidays would be books to make sure that I had enough to last me a week.
Yeah.
Because the idea, being on holiday, and especially, if we were holidaying in Wales or Yorkshire, was quite likely with the family. So there was a good chance it was going to rain some, if not most of the time. Sitting inside, it's a perfect chance to catch up on that reading. But, if I finished the last book and there was more holiday than I had books, then that was a disaster.
Yeah, you have to hope that there's books in the place where you're staying as well, because sometimes there is. That's how I got to read Richard Morgan, because the Carbon was on the shelves there, and I thought, so I'd only bought 8 books with me, so I got to read that one as well. Shona, how about you?
Yes, I think buying books is definitely a part of my identity, my personality, whatever. Books are they're like my safe place. They're the main cornerstone of everything that I've done. Whenever I want to learn something new, the first thing I do is go and buy a book. It's like books are everything. So I absolutely need to surround myself with them. I feel anxious if I finish a book and I haven't picked the next one yet, or if I leave the house without a book, even if I'm just walking down to school to pick up the kids. The thought of just not having a book physically close to me is awful.
And it's like my Kindle's on my phone if I'm desperate, but I'm thinking that will use up all the battery really quickly. That's not good enough. I need the actual Kindle as well. Do you think some of the part of the problem that people have these days is that books are just getting prettier, fancier, more desirable? Do you think that's the case? They don't. 'Cause these days they don't look like this. Do that. You walk into Waterstones, it looks like you've walked into John Lewis wallpaper department. Everything's so pretty.
I mean, on the one hand, I would say no, but on the other hand, I cannot walk past Flame Tree's table in the dealer's hall without picking something up. So that's where all my royalties go.
Yeah. And how many of their notebooks have you got?
4.
Yeah, they are the best notebooks.
So pretty.
Yeah, forget moleskin. Beautiful notebooks. That's what we've got. I think. Oh yeah, here's another one here. Let me just move this pile out of the way. Hey! There we go.
It's right there, isn't it?
That is
You've all got that
gorgeous.
one because that was in a goodie bag, wasn't it? I've got the one up there. So yeah, now look at that. That's all reorganizing. I've moved a pile. So do we have anything there that's like? I mean, a lot of these are from like books that have either been given to me or they're from book fairs. So we've got quite a lot of independent booksellers that I've bought books of because they look like an interesting story, and I'm not going to necessarily get anywhere else to buy them from apart from Amazon. So to me, it's an opportunity. Same with conventions, I think. You know, that's why conventions are a bit of a a danger zone for me. What are your danger zones, Sean? Do you have a danger zone when it comes to buying?
Yeah, I would agree. Dealers' halls are, I think it's physically impossible for me to walk into one and walk out without having bought a book. I'm quite lucky. I think at FantasyCon last year, I maybe got 6 and I was quite restrained, so I was quite happy with that. Yeah,
Yes.
definitely. Yeah, or really big old shops, like secondhand ones, sort of stairs disappearing off into dark corners and things, and you just go nosing through all the shelves for all the old editions of things. That can be, yeah, I can certainly lose a lot of time in there.
Yeah, there's a new one opened up in my town, and I managed to avoid going there for a few months, but it's very near where I work, so I could just pop in there on the way to town. So terrible. I want to know, do any of you have a cursed book that's been in your TBR for far too long that you think, but you're thinking, I need to read that soon, but you never do? For me, it'll be Firebrand by Charles L. Hart.
I'm trying to think.
CJ, do you have any?
I think it'll be some of the old Arkham House books there, because some of those are quite old and they're quite valuable as well. And this is where I've sometimes been in the habit of buying 2 copies, so I've got one to keep and one to read.
Yes.
Not that I have a plan on ever selling any of them. I wouldn't do that. That's crazy talk.
Done that a few times though. I've managed to buy 2 copies of a few books and managed to still ruin both of them. So Tricia Sullivan's Mall, everything, Red Sister by Mark Lawrence, managed to ruin 2 of those. Yeah.
I've got one. What I picked up this week. Well, it's and Afterward the Dark by Basil Copper, which is it's a collection from the Arkham House range, and it's got a couple of stories in there which I'm really very keen to read, but it's the book's not in great shape, and I kind of feel that on a day like this where everything's a little bit sort of close, I don't want to get those fingers on the pages. Maybe I'll read it with a pair of tweezers or something like that. But the books that end up not read, they're the ones that you wouldn't take on a commute with you, or you wouldn't take on holiday with you. It's that time you set aside with the comfy chair, knowing there's going to be no interruptions, but there's a lot of those, unfortunately, and so it's
yeah. It's
I
not
think
only are they too nice, but Yeah, too delicate or too fragile. I've got some very old books on my shelf over there that look like they're going to fall to bits. And here's one. Wow. It's an old door books. Barrington J. Bailey, and it's look at the paper in there.
Mm.
Oh, the smell of it is very distinct.
Well,
Old books.
So like that looked like you couldn't open it fully because it would fall to bits.
well, you mentioned danger zones and the dangers of old second-hand bookshops. It was in a second-hand bookshop in Ventnor on the Isle of Wight. I picked up for 10 quid the 1922 edition of The Golden Bough, and it was the first time that all 13 chapters were collected in one volume. So it's not particularly valuable because the valuable ones will be the original separate chapters that were sold individually. But that book's, yes, it's coming in, it's over 100 years old now, and it's I have in the past been offered silly amounts of money for it, but I wouldn't sell it, and unfortunately I still haven't read it, or at least certainly not read it all. But then it's yeah, one day I'll get around to it. One of my curse books used to be Titus Groan, Mervyn Peake.
You just finished reading that?
No,
Or
haven't
somebody just finished reading it?
No, it was one of my curse
did.
I tried reading it 4 or 5 times when I was very, very young, and it was my dad's old copy, which was falling apart, and it had the drawings from Mervyn Peake on the front cover. And then I was going into hospital for a few days when I was 19, which was a year or two ago. But I deliberately took it with me it was the only book I took with me. So it was only that, and I'm glad I read it, and it's brilliant, and it's one of my favourite books now. Yeah, it took the confinement in a large, sterile-looking building of many floors and many rooms of many buildings, and that being the only book I had, and then I eventually got through it all. But yeah.
Okay, Shona, do you have a cursed book?
No, not really. I was just thinking about that. The place where I lived before this, my flat was very, very small, with like no storage space, and I had to be really, really judicious about books. I couldn't have stacks of them all over the place because there just wasn't anywhere to put them, and I had a small person living there. So it's only been since I moved to this house that I've really started to buy more books than I can keep up with reading, because I have space to have stacks about. So the longest book in my pile is like 9 years. That's nothing, right? Like it's fine. It doesn't matter if it's been there longer than my youngest child has been alive. That's fine.
I think I've got books that are definitely older than that I've had for longer. Like there's one my mom got me, and she's been dead for like 15 years. I'm like, thanks, Mom. Sorry.
It's the same. Yeah, so since I got Kindle, which my husband bought for me, and I was initially going, oh, I'm never going to switch to reading ebooks. You know, you need to hold it in your hand, be able to touch it and smell it whilst you're reading and things. But then I was completely converted when I realised it's much easier on the wrist than reading some of those massive door stoppers. And if you fall asleep reading, it hurts less when you drop it on your face. So I definitely have some books where, as well as having the hardback or paperback for whatever reason, you know, because they're pretty or I got them signed or things, then yeah, I do tend to buy the ebook as well, so that I can read it on my Kindle if I'm traveling or at home, or you know, sort of, again, yeah, with the not wanting to strain my wrists or hurt my face when it falls on it at night. And I think, yeah, I've got a few copies of things where I like a particular edition that's come out, so I've got various versions of like the Lord of the Rings, you know, as I'm sure many people do. And yeah, I think so. I don't think it's strange to buy multiple copies of the same book. It's just showing even more appreciation.
Yeah. Also, if you're in a relationship with somebody who also buys a lot of books, sometimes one of you has to be the curator of the mind library, because the other one will just buy whatever they fancy at the time, and will have forgotten that they've already bought that twice too. It's just saying, Neil. So, do you have any practical tips for dealing with a Tsundoku? So, any way of getting through a lot of books, or do you feel that you ever even have to? So, Shona, do you have any strategies for reading?
I'm currently trying to read mostly hard copies because, you know, I have a Kindle that has hundreds of unread books on it, and I'm really bad at impulse buying Kindle books because they don't take up space, so I don't have to think about it so much. It's just like, yes, of course, there's space on the device. So I'm trying to focus on reading hard copies this year to get the TBR tower to be smaller than I am. But other than that, like, do we need to? You know, if you have the money and your floors are not caving in, your spouse isn't lost in amongst the stacks somewhere, like, why not? Why not buy books, support the arts, support the authors, and have some joy in your life? Like, I see no downside.
No, yes, that's good. CJ, how about you?
I think if I had any advice, I'd like to think I'd be taking it, but no one ever takes their own advice, do they? You know, it's no, it's if you can, then buy it. I would always say. However, you know, buying thing does involve money as well. There is that thing that I can't buy all the books I'd want to buy, so occasionally, I think normally by about halfway through the month, I suddenly look at my bank balance and realise there's still 2 weeks to go and have to ban myself from buying any more, you know, until the cycle starts anew.
Yeah. Sean, how about yourself?
Yeah, so one thing I've done I found quite helpful for tackling sort of some of the TBR piles that I've got is finding something like a reading bingo card, whether that's, you know, the Reddit r/fantasy is a good one that I use, and there've been others as well that I've seen. And then I limit myself to filling the bingo squares only with books I already have.
That
And
is a good
probably,
one.
like,
I have
more
one
than
up there. It's behind my calendar though, so it's useless. So, but it's up there.
Yeah.
I need to look at it. I picked it up from the library, and it's I'm going to disappear while I read a bit. I've managed to move it now. This is also organisation. You bring it to a place where you can actually see it. I could put it over there. Right. So yeah. Anyone do any reading sprints? Any when you use your Kindle? Do you ever use the word runner tool and that kind of thing? Have you ever tried that?
No.
If you just need to get the plot in, it works, but it's not a great way of enjoying a book. So, so you basically you can set your word runner to flash a letter in your face one at a time, and it does it. You think, oh, this do it quite slowly. You go I don't know why I had to revert to the childish alphabet there. Abaca. Abacadabra. But yeah, it flashes in your face, go A, B, C, and then goes D, E, F, G. So it's like flashing in front of your eyes, and so that it forces you to focus in one spot in the Kindle, and then just like have the story read to you. But of course, then it's like your brain's trying to then catch up with punctuation and grammar and like who is this dialogue, is this just a description, that kind of thing. And so it's not a great way of enjoying a book because it's not a great way of doing it. The other way you can do it is, of course, have audio going at the same time and have the audio speeded up to your pace of reading, which is usually I think twice speed. You can get through a lot of books that way. And that way you can also appreciate the book, but it's intense.
See, I think for me, you know, life is really busy, as it is for everyone. But, you know, I work crazy hours, run about after my kids, I do volunteer. When I sit down with a book, that's the time for me. That's when I get to do something that's just for joy. So, like, I don't want to race through it. I don't want to feel pressure to, get through another book faster, finish the pile. I just want to wallow in it and savor it and really experience the book. And I don't care if that means I die under a pile of unread books. There are worse ways to go.
Yeah. Well, yes, there are. So I think there's a few things that we can decide as we conclude our chat on the Tsundoku. I'm going to conclude that the Ghostbusters library pile that I have behind me is aesthetic, and for me it's not a problem. Are there any conclusions you'd like to come to about your book buying habits, CJ?
Well, we've posed with the question of why it's not actually a problem. It's the only problem is I can't do more of it.
So it's not a problem.
Apparently eating is important and paying bills is important,
It's really, the main problem here is mortality. Yes.
I live by.
As we have gathered, it doesn't matter what the actual number is that you set as a goal. You are going to read all the books you're going to read before you die. It's just a thing.
I live by the theory that I'm immortal till proven otherwise. So
I've got the scars, so I have been proven. But Sean, how about you?
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna say I'm gonna embrace the book buying and having it as part of my personality and also aesthetic choices around the home. And I just love the fact that each book, particularly literally in fantasy, is like a different world. So just being surrounded by all those different possibilities and knowing that somewhere in there is going to be a book that I'm going to absolutely fall in love with, and just looking forward to getting the time to do that. And so just being surrounded by piles of books brings joy.
Excellent. Okay, and Shona, anything for you?
Just that I am going to continue buying as many books as I feasibly can, and waiting for the days when I have more space in the house and I can fill even more corners with books.
Yes. Okay, so as we conclude our chat, I would just like to ask you, is there anything that you are working on at the moment, anything you would like to promote? As you have books, do you have anything to wave? CJ, you have something to wave.
I've already had a wave. That's my collection of short stories, Silence Next to Sea and Other Strange Tales. That's 12 stories, all set in real places that I've either been to in my day job looking after historic buildings, or in my random holidays as a kid or as an adult, going around lots of historic places and old buildings and things like that. And hopefully later on this year, the novel After Babylon, which as authors you will all recognise this. It started out as a 10,000 word story and it finished just under 90,000. So
Goodness.
You know how it goes.
That happens, and I think we're familiar with this kind of thing as writers. By the way, your bookshelf has now disappeared. It has disappeared into shadow. That's how stormy it is right now. Shona.
So I do not have my latest book to hand to wave, but
I've got one of them just there.
My most recent release was Daughters of Nick Nevin, which came out from Flame Tree Press in November. That is Scottish historical fantasy set against the backdrop of the 1745 Jacobite rebellion. But it's about the women who were left behind to keep everything running while the men went off to fight. And there's witches, there's fae, chaos ensues.
And it is really, really beautiful. Sean, what are you up to?
I've got a few short things out on submission, which I am sure I'll probably hear thanks but no thanks for them anytime now. But as soon as something is available, I will shout about it on Blue Sky or in the BFS Discord.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, so yeah, join the BFS. You can join the BFS Discord. Yeah, why not? Okay, so just remains.
Please tell us how we can join the BFS.
Yeah, go to.
There will be links in the program description.
Yep.
I will do that. Any links you fancy, I will pop them in the description just underneath. this YouTube screen thing. Look down, there'll be things.
And if I could possibly quickly chuck in, from the 8th to the 18th in Edinburgh, Impro Poet presents What If History at 1:10 at the Banshees Labyrinth.
Okay, there'll be a link for that down below too.
Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much to my guests, CJ Hooper, Shona Kinsella, and Sian O Hara. Thank you very much. It's been a great discussion about how we have, quite frankly, not enough books. Too few rooms. That's the way to put it. Okay, thank you, and bye.